looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. Oh, what a great week this is. Welcome everybody to my home Grand Prix, so I'm a little bit more excited than normal. And welcome everybody here to Split 2 and FRL this week. Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas. Usually sunny and beautiful, and it looks like Split 2 is going to catch some weather here. Welcome everybody and all in round 11 of this 14-round season, following up what was an insane Bahrain GP. F1 in real life is back, and now you've got F1 and FRL back. SENTEX, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, and I'm really amazed by the Bahrain GP from ERL Formula 1 today, and I hope we're going to see also a beautiful race with our FRL drivers in USA, COTA, Austin, Texas. You are hyped so much, isn't it?
I love this track. This is one of those tracks that if you're JJ, you grind Monaco all night going through. COTA is one of those tracks that I just love to drive. It's just so nice. It's so relaxing. It's a great track for me. And I'm a little biased because I'm American, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time. Looking through here, thinking about Split 2, you can't say it's anybody's split yet. There's no determination of who's got this split in the bag because Spaghetti Mafia only has a 17-point lead on Wasserschwein, and Crash is 37 points behind that. So 4 races left to go, and it's anybody's guess who's going to win at the moment, and I don't have a good answer. As we're watching Spaghetti, first driver out on track, coming through the third sector, the 180-degree right-hander, one of my favorite corners in Formula 1, and I feel like I say that about every track, at least at one corner. But one of those tracks that there's a lot of twists, there's a lot of turns, there's a couple long straight stretches, so downforce is your best friend. And host migration. Interesting.
We hope that everything will be working fine. We can see already that few drivers already leaving. We need to check that we're going to change the lobby or not.
Spaghetti just slammed into the wall, so it looks like restarting of lobby. So wouldn't be FRL without a couple weird issues here, so we are going to take like 10 seconds and jump back, and then we'll be back with you here in just a second once we get this all sorted. and it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. All right, quick little reset, and we are back here for qualifying. And it looks like same drivers that took the time to get out there first are going back out first as well. A little bit sunnier, so it actually looks like Austin, Texas now. And looking through here, Fishu, second driver out. Who is that in front of him? I believe that is Buchik in front of him, possibly Bernard. Bernard in front of him. Okay, so. Yeah. Things mixing up here. Maybe a quick little mental reset for some of the drivers. Kind of sort it out, relax, make sure they are ready to go here. Since everything's back up and set. And I will tell you myself personally, I don't think any of our top three in the Drivers' Championship are going to actually finish on top today. I think we're going to see somebody pull it out of the hat. And that is just because it's COTA, and it's a very twisty, windy track, so one little mistake and you end up in a barrier, you end up spinning, and as we know, week in, week out, these drivers really, really, really like to push, so it's one of those things where they're going to push, and somebody has to make a mistake, and if you're up front and you're battling for the front, you're more prone to it, so I think this week we're going to see somebody really pull it out of the hat, and that is just also me hoping for a little bit of action. But you never know. There is still the possibility of Spaghetti doing, spaghetti things.
We're already seeing that in the end of the Sector 2, and in the Sector 3 we have a lot of cars. So basically, I think every single driver is already now on the track. Especially that AD Gamer is coming out from the pit. So basically we will going to see hot lap after another one, and we will see who will set the fastest time in these qualifications. We still have almost 15 minutes, so as you said, maybe someone going to amaze us today and maybe came out from totally unpredictable situation, jump totally in the pole position, and that will be, I think, a big surprise for today.
Big surprises are my favorite things here in FRL. As we sit here and watch Fishu coming through, he had a pretty good looking first sector coming around. Some drivers out on mediums, a lot of drivers on softs. Of course, we'll probably see qualifying all transition to softs. This track is really brutal on tires, and again, that is just because of the twists and curves and turns. Sector 1 especially brutal, and then this hard 180 degree right-hander is very brutal there in Sector 3, so tires are going to be a big conversation. Of course, with pit strategy, everybody looks at a pit strategy and then nobody sticks to it because of a safety car. Bernard coming across fastest lap, a 132.9, and then Fishu with a 133.4, Puhash with a 133.1. I think I'm pronouncing that right again this week, but I guess we'll find out. Spaghetti Mafia 132.7. We're watching Crash in the Mercedes come around here. A few drivers in front of him setting laps as well. Crash with a 1:33.1. Good looking time coming out of the Mercedes driver. His teammate is about to cross the line. And as he comes across, his teammate does not get a time set. I believe he invalidated his last lap, so Crash is gonna, or Youngies is gonna have to do a second lap as we come through here. Lots of possibilities for invalidating your lap throughout this track. We can see Kepa invalidating his lap as well, so he's going to be backing out and going again for another lap. Track limits, I think, is going to be a big discussion as Kuba sets in a 1:32.6. Again, lots of twisting curves in the first sector, the third sector, so I'm wondering how bad track limits are going to affect some of these drivers, SENTEX.
Yeah, it could be very crucial today. Vixie with 1 minute 32.9, so also very good time. And we're seeing that the hot laps about the times are really close today. And I forgot to mention that we have still three, now four drivers on the medium compound. What do you think? Which strategy could be the best for today's race?
I I always say there's a strategy, and then we always throw the strategy out the window because of safety cars. And I anticipate we're gonna have our handful of safety cars this week. I think turn one, because it's a very sharp 120, 30, almost 180 degree left-hander, and I think turn one is just gonna show some action, we'll call it. So I think in terms of pit strategy, a lot of drivers are going to mix it up between two stops, different variations of a two stop. I don't know exactly what their plan is going to be, but it's always exciting to watch, and the drivers know better than I do when it comes to pit stop strategy.
Something happened to Bemolino and he's out of the qualification session. So, do you know what's happened?
I did not see it, but it looks like first sector he went out. So my guess is first sector, some of the curves and stuff through there probably just caught him out going through. And it looks like Kushor 133.3. Kushor is now out. And then, so it looks like a few drivers getting caught out here through turns in some really weird places, though, that I wouldn't expect drivers to be caught out at. I'm not sure what it is that's happening there. Wasserschwein, a 132.2 coming across the line. Very impressive from the Aston Martin driver. Again, 17 points behind Spaghetti Mafia, so he is looking to chase down the Drivers' Championship this week.
Exactly. So, fight for the pole position today is going to be huge, and it's really hard to predict who can possibly take it, because for now we can see that Kuba Kalvat, Spaghetti Mafia, Bernard, Vixie are so close, almost 2 tenths to each other, but Wasserschwein made a really impressive time, 1 minute 32 seconds, point 2. So drivers are really need to try harder just to catch Wasserschwein, and then maybe took his currently pole position.
Wasserschwein, 4/10 of a second up, almost half a second up on Kuba, but still early days, 9.5 minutes left here in qualifying. So I don't think that time will stand. It is a very strong time, but I still think that we've got some drivers that can go through. We don't talk about Vixie a lot. Vixie, of course, DNFing the last four races, while his teammate Vasser is up and top. So this could be a good redemption day for Vixie as well, to bring things out and really put in a strong performance there and help out Aston Martin. Aston Martin is currently P3 in the Constructors' Championship, 24 points back on Williams, and then another 24 points back on McLaren, who are currently leading the Constructors' Championship. So None of these championships are decided yet, even though we have 4 races to go, and I absolutely love it as we see Fishu on a flying lap here in the first sector, just sending it. And you can see just how aggressive the drivers are, and Fishu drifting there in the first sector, having to back out of it. So that is possibly that lap aborted for Fishu. Just
Also,
an
Spaghetti
aggressive
Mafia
track.
had some problems with grip, and also he decided to forgot this lap, focus on the next one. Probably, maybe he will now to try to slipstreaming Fishu and maybe somehow help him in his current hot lap. We're going to see, yeah, a beautiful slipstream, and I hope it's going to help Fishu because I really want to see McLaren with a beautiful performance today. Not comparing to what we've seen today on the Bahrain, because McLaren today weren't looking so good, right?
Yeah, real life Formula One was really shocking. You had Kevin Magnussen up in P5. You had
Yeah.
Red Bull with 3 of their 4 drivers DNFing due to power unit issues, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it wasn't. None of it was what I expected in real life F1. Of course, again, American bias here. Kevin Magnussen in the Haas P5. It's so great to see Haas competitive again in real life Formula One. And I'm hoping to see some good competitiveness from Haas here in FRL. And it looks like so far with Kuba up in P4, still in the pits, but Kuba in a really, really good spot to put Haas on the map here in FRL.
We're still waiting for 2 drivers to finish their own hot laps and set their time. We're still waiting for Beach 2000 and Gamer 2021-64. What I wanted to say is like Gamer is very consistent, but I will say that it's going to be some kind of lack of pace, because we clearly see that he's struggling here in Kota, and the main big difference that can make on the race is setup. Setup is incredibly important here, especially on Kota.
Setup
As you
makes
mentioned before, those tight corners, a very fast first sector, the setup is really important.
It really is, and it's almost a compromise between do you want to go fast through the middle sector or do you focus on first and third sector, which if you ask me, you're focusing on first and third sectors. BIS 2000 DNFs in the first sector now and retires. The big thing with the first sector is you have to have that downforce and that car compliance to really be able to put your car through. And for some of these drivers, I think that is going to be challenging because some of these drivers, it seems like car compliance is going to be an issue. And I think we're going to see that through both splits. The car compliance really coming into play for these drivers. Wasserschwein currently on a really strong lap going through the third sector here. Looking great as he comes around the 180-degree right-hander and putting in great time still. Wasserschwein is. Times have came down and looks like Wasserschwein is going to abort that lap and actually pit there. I don't know if he just wasn't happy with it or what his plan was, but he aborted out of what was looking like a really good lap.
We check with exactly the same situation as you mentioned. So we still have a few drivers currently on the track that coming to the starting lane, and we can see still Gamer with some problems, but he managed to jump into the 14th place, setting 1 minute 34.1. So also a pretty decent time, I would say. I'm wondering more now that is that any driver able to improve their time, because Wasser set a really high bar with that 1 minute 32.2, right?
That setting that time up front was really impressive, and of course Bernard with a 132.3. So Spaghetti's out on a flying lap right now, riding on board with him, and he looks like he's doing really good so far. We'll see where his middle sector time comes into play, as he does have an Alfa Romeo in front of him that could prove a little bit challenging. I believe that's Gamer right in front of him, so he's just going to have to watch out for Gamer as he comes through the third sector, but I think he's got enough of a gap. I don't think the 132.2 is unbeatable, but I do think it's a impressive time here in split two to be put down so early. So somebody's just going to have to pull a very, very strong lap through. And if there's anybody that can do it, I think Spaghetti can. And Spaghetti, as of right now, is on a blistering lap. Watching him come around third sector, going into the 180. 80 Gamer gets right out of his way. So I think we're going to see a good time here from Spaghetti as he comes across. Not going to beat the 132, but does do a 132.4. So he puts himself up into P3. Still a couple tenths behind Wasserschwein with 2.5 minutes left to go. So is Spaghetti going to do a cooldown and another push, or... because you don't really have time to get around, put tires on, and then get back out. You're not going to have time for it. So that could be Spaghetti locked in where he's at, and now it's just to watch the times come down.
Everything is changing so fast as in Kaleidoscope, and it's really hard to say that, for example, Spaghetti Mafia will be able to jump to the pole position, because I'm really shocked about that Wasserschwein time. And as I said before, the bar is set really, really high, and it's so impressive. And I like situations like this, because then you know that drivers are really need to fully send it if they want to attack the pole position. And we can clearly see that if someone just want to beat everyone on the track, and then the qualifications can be even more interested as it used to be.
Just a minute or so left here as we go around, following Bernard through Sector 3. Bernard out on a time, and at the moment, I don't think he's going to be able to beat the 132 as he comes through, so that is going to be his teammate out of the way. He's a few seconds behind potentially. Of course, the start finish line a little bit farther back here at Coda, and I am absolutely wrong. Bernard throwing up a P2 with a 132.3, still not beating Wasserschwein. Wasserschwein starting his outlap very, very late, probably going to be the last driver to put a lap in here. Crash coming around into the third sector again, 45 seconds left to go. So for Crash, this is all she wrote, and he is a few seconds behind, so no improvement there from Crash. That is going to be his qualifying over. Hopefully he's locked in at P4. He's going to be hoping somebody goes a little bit slower here. Puhash coming around first sector, good compliance coming out of his car. You can see the weight shift going through, and it looks really, really strong as he comes over the hill here. Downhill section going into the second sector. Hard braking zone for the hairpin left coming around, looking really good. And now it's going to be full throttle and DRS open to go down the back straight. And it looks like his teammates in front of him to give him a bit of a slipstream here to try to help him get a little bit faster. And his teammate's going to slide out of the way, and we'll see if that slipstream helps as he goes through. Checkered flag falls, so this is going to be all she wrote. Wasserschwein is barely getting his lap started, and Puhash is up in the middle sector at the moment on his personal time as we continue to go through, so he could have a good lap coming together with his teammate behind him. And I believe that is Fishu behind his teammate into the third sector as Puhash comes around. Looking really strong. Spaghetti Mafia, checkered flag falls on him. Ooh. He can't improve any, and really, really, really close things happening right now. And the spin there from Puhash out of the final corner. He looked like he was going to improve, but that is going to be his qualifying over. We'll jump on board here with the Mercedes of Crash, who is coming around the third sector, looking to improve as well. Crash currently P5. We'll see if he can improve any as he comes around. It looks like he is on a good run, and Crash is gonna lock in P5, just 8 thousandths of a second off, and it looks like Kepa jumps up into P3 if I'm not mistaken there. Kuba coming around from P12. few drivers still out here on laps. Buchek coming around final corner as well. And he is going to come around. Can he challenge up into P8? And Wasserschwein, final driver to come around. And Wasserschwein setting an even faster lap, 131.8. You can tell that Wasserschwein loves Coda as much as I do. So Wasserschwein locking in pole position there, unless a couple of these drivers behind him can improve. Kuba not on a push lap at all. Kuba. Do the Haas drivers have? The Haas drivers have the same.
Kuba is basically Jacob. And Kubu is, I guess, Kubu.
Kuba and Kubu. Are they related?
I don't know. But we clearly said that any of the Haas drivers wouldn't improve their time, and I think they will get into the box just to finish the qualifications.
So, that Wasserschwein with some obnoxious pace. And look at Bernard, Kepa, and Kuba. Great. Spaghetti Mafia P5. I didn't expect that one. And he's not that far off the pace. But, I mean, in a field as close as this, you kind of have to be on the pace. So, as we're waiting on everything to finish here, looks like just waiting on Kuba to be taken into the box for the game to register here. I'm looking around. 5 seconds left in qualifying. It's all she wrote. Wasserschwein with an impressive 131.8. Bernard in P2. Kepa 3. Kuba 4. Spaghetti P5. Crash 6. Puhash 7th. Buchek 8th. Vixie 9. Kuba 10. Velix in P11. Kushor DNFing but being able to secure a P12. And then you had Fishu. Didn't get to read everyone after that.
80 Gamers 13, but I didn't saw the rest also.
We'll check out the rest here really quick. 80 Gamer P14, Fishu P13, Youngies 15, Gamer 2021 in 16th, BIS 2017, and then Bimolino in 18th with no time set as he did DNF on an out lap, I believe, or his first push lap. So very, very close gaps throughout the top 10, and then still very, very close beyond that. The pace is not that far off, so this should shape up to be a really, really good race.
As you mentioned before, I guess the first corner, turn 1, will be the most important turn by the whole race, and I think then everything would set up for the rest of the race, and I hope we wouldn't see as many safety cars as we get used to that, and everything will be so much cleaner than in before races. Because, of course, Kota, how would you like to see today race, Bradley?
I'd like to see a clean, competitive race, but I already know with the way this track is that we're probably not going to see a clean, competitive race. We're probably going to see, how do I phrase this? We're going to see somebody mad after this race, is about the best I can say. We're going to hear, thankfully we can't hear team radios, but if we could, I feel like we're going to hear a Max Verstappen. We'd hear Max Verstappen come out of one of these drivers. He was mad in the race today, so I feel like one of these drivers is going to pull a Max Verstappen later, and I don't know who, and I don't know that I want to know who.
No wondering if he was battling for his P2 and 2 laps just before the finish. His engine just died and he couldn't do anything, so that must be heartbreaking for him.
And then Checo starting the final lap, his engine locking up. That was heartbreaking. But the life of a Red Bull fan is all I can say. Watching the drivers come through here, first sector, I really, really fancy Spaghetti Mafia's chances here. I think Spaghetti has a good knack for getting away well in turn one. So I think that that is going to be one of the drivers to watch here as they hit turn one. I think Spaghetti is going to bring something in and just give us something impressive. Of course, the driver's not like waiting up this formation lap. They are going fast here. We come through here. Wasserschwein already in through the third sector, and we've still got cars just now coming around the hairpin. So, field very spread out, and I think Wasserschwein just wants to get this race on with 28 laps. And I think I'm doing a lot of thinking today, but it's going to be a really, really fun race. 28 laps of action, and as long as the drivers make it through turn one, which I'm not holding my breath on, it should be a really, really good race.
2 seasons ago, when we were driving on Kota, we have a full wet race. I wouldn't say that it was disaster, because it wasn't. It was, to be honest, a very enjoyable race. I was standing then on the podium, but it was a really difficult race. As you said, Kota isn't the easiest track to drive, and especially in those conditions. But today it's going to be, looks like we will have a full sunny weather by the whole race.
I do like
For now.
sunny. I like sunny weather, and I feel like split two and weather have gone bad together. Final car on the grid lined up, and I think we're about ready for 28 laps of action. 5 red lights. And lots of jump starts there, but lights out, and we are underway here for split two here at Coda. 5 drivers jumping the split, and who is that? The Alpine of 80 Gamer spinning there into turn one, and it looks like they're 3 abreast going through. Lots of drivers having to run wide and play defensive coming through the first corner. I don't know what happened there, but it looks like most drivers make it through the first corner, but for 80 Gamer, he couldn't even make it through the first straightaway as they come through the windy sections here in Sector 1. Everybody trying to line up and keep things together. Of course, still 80 Gamer in the background going really slow. I don't know what happened to him there, but very unfortunate. Watching Puhash try to come around there and get a pass done on Buchik, and it looks like he does get that pass done. And now they're side by side, bumping wheels coming through onto the long backstretch. Pass still isn't done, actually, as they come around, and still side by side here. Oh! And crash cutting around the front nose there of Puhash, and that is a VSC, if not a full safety car. What a...
Oh my lord, what happened there?
I had just jumped on board, and it looked like Crash was trying to shut the door and didn't have room to shut the door there. It just looks like he misestimated where, like, the length of his car, and just a poor call there. And unfortunately for Crash, it's going to cost him his race. So VSC out here on lap 1. 80 Gamer, though, what a poor getaway. 5 drivers jumping the start, and I don't know how.
You mentioned something about being Max Verstappen today, and I think we have a winner of this competition already on the first lap. That must be heartbreaking, definitely, but I also don't know which of the drivers was clearly fault, to be honest. I didn't see clearly because I was driving from the Buchik perspective, and it was scary and hilarious in the same time, because it was like straight road. No one else was around them, and it was strange. But now let's focus on the rest of the race. We had over the virtual safety car, and we're clearly now seeing the Buchik is trying to attack Radosław Kepa, still without the DRS, and maybe ERS will come to fight with the Radosław Kepa and Buchik, and we will see that Buchik is decided to back off and let the Radosław Kepa took the first corner in front of him.
A good decision there from him to back off and relax at the moment. Going through, looking at tire strategy, fish you on hards up into P7. So playing the long game here, AWS not telling us the best pit strategy at the moment. Really, really surprised that it hasn't popped in yet. Looking through, Bernard up in P1 though. After a great getaway from him, Wasserschwein P2, Spaghetti P3, Kuba P4, Kepa P5, Bernard setting in a fastest lap, and you can see Buchek there in P6 going really, really wide. DRS now enabled, so for these drivers going down the backstretch, that's going to help. And a lot of drivers into the pits already. Fishu in, Velix in, Kushor in. I wonder if that's due to damage that we just didn't catch.
I guess it was from the jump over when the drivers were starting the race and they had drive-through penalty. So I guess it was a very good decision just to make it on the beginning of the race.
Let's go ahead and get the penalties out of the way. That way they can focus on the race and then just get ready for whatever action is about to come our way. Lap 3 of 28, and Bernard and Wasserschwein, Spaghetti Mafia, and Kuba trying to chase each other down here through. DRS trains, not a big issue in Coda, but following is a big issue in Coda. First and third sector, really, really hard to follow through with dirty air. So not 2022 reg cars here, but 2021 reg, and it makes for some interesting moments going through if you can stay close enough for a follow, just like you're seeing Kuba and Vixie and Puhash going through right now, third sector, trying to stick together and follow. And you can see Kuba is having a good run here, it looks like, against Puhash, but just not close enough to get the pass done. Only a couple tenths separating them. Bernard punching in another fastest lap. Going through, I'm trying to keep my eyes on who has a great run here, and it looks like Youngies and Bimolino only a couple tenths off of Vixie. Vixie's going to be under real pressure here, and you can see Youngies trying to cut to the inside here and get the pass done. Vixie taking a lot of curb around turn 1, so not close enough for the pass here, but putting pressure on nonetheless. Only a tenth of the second the gap.
We can clearly see that Youngis is much faster than Sector 1. Now they're going wheel to wheel with the Vixie, but Youngis is getting over it and overtook Vixie. As you said before, also Bemolino is joining to the fight, and he's fighting with the Vixie, but he took a better driving line and going inside overtook Vixie also. So the fights on this track are going to be especially interesting, because even now we can see Bemolino is trying to attack Youngis with DRS zone, and he will be able to attack on the outside. Little contact, nothing happened, and Bemolino jump into the 9th place.
I don't think that battle is going to be over yet, though, as Bemolino gets a run, but Youngi's still only a couple tenths back. Looking through here, and a great battle back in P14 between Velix and Fishu developing. It looks like they've sorted that out there in the third sector. Velix getting the pass done. Bemolino holding half a second the gap now. So Youngie struggling to follow through the third sector, it looks like, but really, really strong first sector as the drivers continue to come around here and go up this big hill into turn 1. And I think this onboard wing shot really shows you how far up this turn 1 hill actually goes. I think on screen it kind of doesn't look as bad as it actually is as we go through here. Bimolino another lap into P9, and he's going to continue to build that gap here in sector 1. Wasserschwein still trying to chase down Bernard. 4 tenths the gap, 3 tenths the gap. We'll see if he tries to break a little bit later and get a good run into the middle sector. He is going to have DRS here. Spaghetti Mafia 2.3 seconds back, so no challenge from that. Wasserschwein trying to have a little bit better of a run on Bernard through the second sector, but it looks like corner exit might be his problem as the gap dropped 2 tenths before he could try to attack the gap again. So Wasser really, really pushing and trying to get a pass done on Bernard here.
But Bernard with the just amazing pace, clearly defending his first place, and Wassersteiner would really need to try really hard just to overtake Bernard. While it's looking that maybe not impossible to do that, but it's going to be definitely going to be very hard to do that because Bernard with his amazing pace setting the fastest lap one after another one, and it's hard to say where especially Wasserstein can really attack. I think the second DRS zone might be the best place to do that.
He's looking really strong. I think the big issue with Wasserschwein as we ride on board here with him is going to be waiting on Bernard to make a mistake or waiting on Wasserschwein just to get a good run because it doesn't look like either have happened yet there. Bernard, I guess, really loves Coda as much as I love Coda. As we go downhill here into Sector 2, Wasserschwein still trying to think about a peek around the inside, but deciding to not dive on the brakes here. And again, Bernard just amazing traction out of that corner onto the backstretch. So still not in a position to put up a challenge yet. And gaps are starting to kind of spread out and relax a little bit. Bernard weaving a lot on this back straight, trying to break the slipstream and make sure Wasserschwein can't get a good run. Almost a dangerous weave, but not outside of the rule book as far as I understand it. 80 Gamer retiring now. I'm not sure where that is. It looks like he's just went into the pits and retired. So 80 Gamers race over after just 6 laps.
Maybe we will have third commentator a little bit faster. And I guess it is from Eddie Gamer perspective. I really understand if my thoughts are really correct. I guess Eddie Gamer just decided to retire because he already had a 20 seconds time gap between him and his teammate, and it will be extremely difficult even to catch him on the medium compound and then maybe catch the rest of the grid. But it's already the seventh lap, so just the beginning of the race. So anything could happen. Maybe some safety car would come out, and then Eddie Gamer would have chance to catch the rest of the grid. We really don't know that, but this is his decision, and he have fully opportunity to do that. But let's now focus on the fight on the track. Buciak is going just behind the Radosław Kepa, and we can see that Radosław have a really good exit on the main on the straight DRS with their DRS zone, but Buciak is trying to catch Radosław Kepa, and I don't think so he will manage to do that just before the turn. He's still sitting on his back, but overtake is going to be really difficult in this situation.
Battle for P4, 2.5 tenths the gap here, 3 tenths. So Buciak looks like he has a really strong run through Sector 3. Drivers starting to go to the pits now after only 6 laps. We see Kuba and Gamer both on fresh medium tires, along with Bimolino, who I believe had some contact and dropped all the way back into P16. So Buciak running really wide there out of the final corner. That's going to cost him some good spacing. Spaghetti Mafia into the pits now. And Spaghetti going onto a fresh set of mediums. So I believe the drivers are going to be committing to a 2-stop here. Possibly soft, medium, softs as they go around and look through. Buciak still trying to chase down Kepa here with 3 tenths the gap. He's gaining as they go through the first sector, but it looks like some drivers have opted for a little bit more straight line speed, which has really helped them through the middle sector and with defending here. But Buciak just great runs through the first and third sector. If he can get close enough, he could get the pass done in a very unconventional zone, but unconventional is only unconventional if you don't try it. Looking here, backstretch again. Buciak just not close enough for the pass as they come through. And I spoke way too soon. Bernard and Wasser are battling, and then Buciak and Kepa are battling here. Looks like Bernard and Wasser are going to be side by side coming around here. Great battle developing as they come through the final 2 corners. And not the final two corners. Bernard and Voster going around the 180-degree right-hander third sector. Voster Swine on the inside, Bernard on the outside, side by side, wing by wing, and they go through, and it looks like Voster's going to back out of it here to give Bernard the run, but Voster going to have a dive into the pits. I thought he was going to dive up the inside, so Voster deciding to battle Bernard, but then opting for the pits. Bernard, for another lap, is going to be out on those soft tires. We'll see what Wasserschwein does as Buchik pits in behind him as well, releasing Kepa to try to get some pace. And Wasser going onto a fresh set of soft tires as well. So drivers who are opting to pit, mixed strategies here. Soft tires to run and then possibly mediums to the end. Only a third of the way through this race so far. So lots of mixed strategy as we see going through. But Kepa middle sector, I mean, just look at the way these cars look amazing going through the first sector.
Youngis just had a contact with Wasserschein that just went from the pit in front of him, and Youngis didn't brake too much and broke his wing on the back of the Wasserschein. So now he already lost 2 positions because of the Spaghetti Mafia and Kuba Kolbat. And it could be really difficult just to drive until the end of this lap to go to the pit lane to exchange his wing, especially that on his back is already Buchek trying to catch him and overtake him also. For now we can see that Kuba Kalbat will try to attack the Spaghetti Mafia, and the gaps on the track are really huge right now.
Everything's kind of spreading out here with the pit stops. I think things will condense as other drivers start to pit. Things will start to close back up. But it's one of those things that depends on your run. You really just have to kind of relax in and settle down. This is, of course, we've got 18 more laps to go, so you can't really count anything out yet. Just relax, keep your head down, and keep driving. As we see, the top 3 are now into the pits after 9 laps on their tires. Bernard opting for mediums. We'll see what the other drivers opt for. Kuba into the pits now as well. Wasserschwein on his softs is now going to be up into the lead. Bernard onto a fresh set of mediums coming out of the pits here. Is he going to get in front of Spaghetti? He does not. But can he keep the space in front of Kuba? He can. And Bernard battling out with Spaghetti going into the first sector here. Side by side, a little bit of a wheel tap there. Possibly another wheel tap. Bernard backing out of it. Smart move. Giving Spaghetti Mafia the P2. But very clearly has some strong pace in that Williams car.
Those battles are looking incredibly amazing, and now Bernard in this situation will be behind the Spaghetti. I don't know that Spaghetti's move right now just worked, and he will get the DRS from Bernard. I think he will, and he gonna try to attack once again Bernard and try to attack this second position. We're going to see that Bernard will take the inside. Spaghetti Mafia will try to attack outside, but is still somehow defending the second place. Now beautiful dive from the Spaghetti Mafia in front of the Bernard, getting back on the second place. What a beautiful battle from those 2 drivers.
Great battles developing here. Lap 10, and the drivers are not holding anything back here as we watch Bernard with Kuba right behind him. Lots of good passes happening. We just said less than a lap ago that the gaps were opening up, and now they've closed right back down. Wasserschwein fastest lap of the 1:35.6, continuing to see the lap times come down as we go. Bernard trying to chase down Spaghetti as they go up the hill. Spaghetti's going a little bit defensive here, going to hold the inside. Bernard's going to have to go the long way around on the outside if he wants the pass done. Thinks about doing a switchback, not close enough in order to do that. And for another lap, Spaghetti's going to hold on to his position, or at least another sector. Bernard right behind him, though. Bernard looking really, really strong through this first sector and through the third sector. So just seems to really play into his driving style here. Coming down the hill into the second sector braking zone. Bernard with a great run off here, already starting to close the gap even before DRS is open, and now he's going to open the DRS, run on Spaghetti. He's going to go right around the outside. Thank you very much. Literally nothing Spaghetti could do to defend that. and Bernard back up into P2 where he can set off trying to close down that 6 second gap he has to Wasserschwein. But Wasserschwein on soft tires, so that 6 second gap is going to be really challenging to close.
I was talking to the muted microphone, so I'm really, really sorry about that. But I wanted to mention about that Wasserschwein haven't got any penalties, but he clearly get 3 second penalties. So basically, all of the top 4 current drivers have now penalties. Now Wasserschwein set the fastest lap 1 minute 35.5. So also amazing pace from this driver, and we clearly see that Kuba Calvat also want to join the fight for the second and third place, and he is really pushing just behind the Spaghetti Mafia, and I'm thinking like he will be able to join this fight on the straight DRS zone, and it's going to be really interesting.
Now, of course, the more these drivers fight, the more it frees up Wasserschwein to run away. The gap now 6.8 seconds. So the more the drivers want to fight and battle for this P2 position, the more it gives Wasserschwein the opportunity to build up a gap. Wasserschwein showing some total domination here so far in this round 10, lap 12 here. And it's really a question of who's going to stop Wasserschwein at the moment.
We didn't know that the soft compound can make such a big difference on the track, especially that we can see that Wasser is clearly taking the advantage of it, and already almost 7 seconds, over 7 seconds time gap between him and Bernard. So he really needs to push, and then if he decides to go for another pit, probably to change for the medium compound set of tires, will really lead him to win today's race.
SENTEX, can you run the mediums to the end of the race right now if you're Bernard? You're running another 15 laps. Do you think you can actually do that to the end?
His tires are already 2 laps old, so basically it's possible, but I don't know how the tires will going to behave on the end of the race. It's possible, but it will be a very difficult, I will say.
I'm just wondering if that's what Bernard could be thinking right now, is committing to a one stop and just doing some tire conservation. 23-ish seconds, the amount of time you lose to a pit stop here. So it is possible that that could be Bernard's strategy, but with the way Spaghetti and Kuba are pushing him, there's no way he's going to be able to conserve his tires. We see on screen right now a good battle between Kepa and Buchik here going into the backstretch, and it looks like Kepa could have a run on Buchik here. Of course, AlphaTauri versus Red Bull, and Kepa does have the run. Kepa up into P5, top 5 currently. Very, very interesting. Not, I don't want to say not the names we usually see in top 5, but some names that I'm very happy to see in the top 5 that are some different faces.
Exactly. About the Bernard and his tire strategy, I would say like he really need to focus right now just to drive until the end if he really wants to stay on the medium compound, and focus fully on not going to fight with the Wasser, because Wasser is over 7 seconds and there's no chance to catch him up. But I will say that it's really important just to hold the Spaghetti Mafia over 1 second, just to not give him DRS, and somehow it might help him to save the tires for the end of the race. But as I said before, it will be definitely difficult to do that, especially that we know that Spaghetti is a driver that he really likes to push, and this is his driving style. And Bernard, I'm not. I will not to be on his skin right now, and in the place that he is currently, because on his back is a really fast driver, and in front of him is also a really fast driver. So Bernard, I wish you luck, and I hope you know what you're going to do, because it will be extremely difficult.
If you're Bernard right now, you're probably watching the Ferraris. Ferrari on 13 lap on mediums, so you're probably watching to see when the Ferraris pit and what their pace looks like. Because at the moment, Ferrari not in a bad spot. That gap is staying pretty consistent for where they're at. So if Ferrari can do it, I wonder why Bernard couldn't. So that could be kind of what they're watching to see how the lap pace falls off. I'm sure their race engineer is having a great time right now trying to figure out what strategy they've locked themselves into as they go
I'm
through
won-
here. Front stretch, the gaps have all opened up yet again, so lots of tire conservation, it looks like, coming into play.
I'm wondering what is the strategy of the Ferrari, because they're looking very strong for now, and the time gap that they have between themselves let them through with the DRS zone, so basically they can somehow help to each other. Maybe it's not over for the bigger points for the Ferrari team, and I hope we're going to see them for fight for the a little bit higher positions. But for now, we can say Bradley clearly that it's really, I would say, like typical Sunday race. Very safely, very quiet, nothing really happening that much.
There's a couple good battles here, like Buchik going around Kepa here on the backstretch, but, and this was my concern with Coda. I love Coda, but sometimes Coda just, because it is such a complex first and third sector, and I keep talking about those sectors because they're extremely hard and challenging, sometimes it just sets up for more relaxed racing. Honestly, like the drivers get less pushy and are like they don't want to risk their race around a corner to try to go for a pass, and it doesn't present as many overtake opportunities, and DRS isn't as strong here. So to a degree, you do see a pit strategy come into play, and you do see drivers kind of relax more and just settle into a rhythm.
As for example, Wasserstein is doing right now, still holding the 7 seconds gap in front of the Bernard. 6 lap old soft compound let him still hold this gap, and I'm wondering what is the Wasserstein strategy when he will decide to go for the medium compound.
If you're Wasserschwein, I would think that you're going to go ahead and come in to go ahead and be able to push and go through Ferrari on 15 lap all mediums. So mediums obviously have a long life, and you're going to have to use the best of that to challenge Bernard and Spaghetti and Kuba, because he's going to come out probably back in P5, P6, I would imagine. So Wasserschwein's going to have to make a call here soon in order to give himself time to fight through the field. I just wonder when that call would be, because the gap is starting to drop slowly but surely to Bernard. It's not dropping by much, but it's dropping enough that it kind of causes concern, and it makes you wonder kind of what's happening here. Ferrari keeps swapping positions back in P9, P10. I don't know exactly what their game plan is back there.
They're still gaining on the DRS zone, so for now I will say it doesn't matter when they will or who will be in the front of the team. But information that Wasserstein just went to the box and decided to go on the medium right now. So over 11 laps on the medium compounds really might really help him to drive until the end, especially that he just drive just behind the Puchacz, so he will get the DRS, and probably we're going to see some beautiful actions in the straight DRS. A lot of time penalties we're seeing today, and as I'm always saying, it might be very important at the end of the race.
Time penalties always play a big role here. Drivers being clean. Wasserschwein pitting in here and dropping out at P8. He's going to be a little bit upset. I thought he'd be a little bit further up the grid, and he was probably hoping it. as we go through here. Wasserschein trying to have a look here on Puhash. Not close enough, but oh!
Ooh!
With a massive dive bomb, trying to get two cars at once, and it looks like it could cost him. It looks like he got Puhash there, who isn't very happy with it and is trying to stick a nose back around for the position there from Wasserschwein, but a very risky move, and that's a questionable one. Wasserschwein probably not happy with where he's at. I mentioned the Max Verstappen radio, and I would imagine that's coming from Wasser, but I think the big story in my head right now is Kushor and Velix, no sign of stopping anytime soon. 16 lap old mediums. So if you're Bernard and Spaghetti, you're going to be celebrating that. Because I would guess if you're Bernard and Spaghetti, you have no plans on stopping now. 10 laps to go, so they are going to be committing in. We'll see what happens there. Wasserschwein with a massive swerve to get on the inside here of Kuba, and Kuba giving up the position. So Wasserschwein up into P5 now, trying to chase down everything. Puhash DNFing out of the first corner. I didn't see what happened there to him. We'll check it out as we go around. Looks like he got loose and just hit the wall, and that is a safety car. So Bernard and Spaghetti going to be very happy about this. Wasserschwein going to be very, very upset, as this is going to mix up everything and give some of these drivers on the older tires a little bit of a break. Velix and Kushor are going to be very happy right now to get off those medium tires. Fishu on 17 lap old hards is going to be very, very happy to get off of them. But the drivers that just pit are going to be upset.
And as I said before, safety car can now change almost everything, and it really matters from the drivers that who is going to have a better restart. And what do you think that Wasserstein will be able to fight? Oh, and somehow Kubu just almost smashed in front of the Wasserstein, and I am guessing that it was contact because Kubu have some problems now. Spaghetti Mafia with the DNF. What's going on? Oh no! Spaghetti Mafia didn't go to the pit and he crashed.
Oh.
That must hurt.
Spaghetti. Oh, F's for Spaghetti. Ah, this hurts.
F on chat, please. Oh my lord. I'm speechless right now, Bradley.
I don't know what just happened. Like, I genuinely don't know what just happened. That is, I know safety cars change everything, but, that was not expected. Wasserschwein now back up in the lead after whatever just happened in the past 45 seconds. I missed so much out of that. I need Split 2 to calm down. Nothing happens for 10 minutes and then 20 things happen at once. I need things to calm down here. Lap 19 of 28, and I need a second to get my bearings here. Wasserschwein, Bernard, Kuba, top 3 here. Haas in P3, I love to see it. Kepa in P4, Buchik P5, Kubu in P6, Kushor 7, Vixie, Velix, Fishu, Gamer, Spaghetti with a DNF, so he'll be dropping back. Biss in P13, Youngies in P14, Puhash, Bimolino, 80 Gamer, and Crash all DNFing out of this race. Spaghetti with the most heartbreaking DNF I think I've seen here in FRL in the 20 races I've been commentating. I think it's been 20 now. I need to do the math. That was that hurt me.
Yeah, I can clearly agree. And also we can talk about penalties. For now, Wasserstein 3 seconds penalty, Bernard 3 seconds, Kuba Kalvat 3 seconds, then Vixie, Gamer and Beast 2000 also. Vixie 6 seconds, Gamer 3 seconds and Beast 3 seconds. Youngis just get another penalties, but for now, as I can see, he still have his drive-through penalty. And I don't know when it happened that he really need to go for the drive-through.
He's going to need to serve it here soon, that's for sure. Looking at big winners and losers so far, Kushor, Gamer, and Biss, all three up 5 positions. Fishu up 4. The big losers right now are all the ones that have DNF'd. Kepa and Vixie, the only drivers that are down positions right now. Wasserschwein, Bernard, right where they started. So all drivers having a fairly good race so far. Vixie and Kepa, the only ones that have lost any positions. Everybody else, the big losers, are the DNFs. So really, really mixing things up. Biss and Youngi's on 3 stops so far, and Youngi's going to have to go through the pit lane one more time to serve his penalty, which I believe he's doing right now.
No, he just went to pit.
He's serving some sort of penalty. That's interesting.
Because he cannot go with the drive-through under the safety car.
Unfortunate for Youngi's really, really compromising his race there. So we'll see where the Mercedes driver can pick up. Of course, his teammate DNF'd, and now he is just sitting back in P13 miles away from the rest of the field. It's anyone's guess at this point, because basically Wasserschwein and Kubu on medium tires here. Vixie, Gamer, Biss on medium tires. Everybody else on a fresh set of softs with 8 laps to go. Wasserschwein's going to be under immense pressure right from the start because we know Bernard has super strong pace.
So it will be very difficult for Wasserschwein to defend his P1 currently. And also don't forget about the Kepa, Bucek, and just that they are just behind them and they have no penalty. So if somehow Radosław Kepa and Bucek will manage to hold the pace just behind the top 3, they can jump into the podium today.
That would be amazing if just from clean racing they get up on the podium, and I'm sure that's their goal. It looks like we're going to have one more lap under safety car here, at least, as we wait on Youngies to catch up with the rear of the field. No sign of the safety car coming in yet. Wasserschwein, you can tell he's really trying to get those mediums up to temp and get some heat into them. Midfield here, the battle between Bucek and Kepa and Kuber is going to be a really, really strong battle. We've watched them battle pretty much all race, so I'm sure there's going to be more to see here. Some of my timing screens just jumped out, and I don't know why.
Yeah, because Bucek have lag and he fell down to the 10th place just behind the Bixie.
Well, that conversation about the battle he was having goes out the window. The Haas drivers have Kepa sandwiched between them, so I'm sure there's going to be some strategy there to try to get Kubu around Kepa there. Kuba and Kubu, a great combination for Haas, and I'm excited to see where they go through. I believe this is Kubu's debut here in FRL. It is, so a great teammate to have there in Haas, and I'm excited to see where this goes from here. Of course, Kushor and Velix, we saw them run long on the mediums, and it's paid off. They find themselves in P6 and P7. Fishu in P8, his teammate DNFing under safety car with one of the most confusing wrecks I've seen in a while. Vixie in P9 needs to move forward and try to catch up to his teammate a little bit more. And then Gamer, Biss, Youngies, Bucek, of course, with the lag, dropping back from, he was P4 down into P10 now. So it's anyone's guess how this finishes off. 7 laps to go, and safety car is still not showing a sign that it's coming in yet.
Okay, so safety car will go in this lap, and the restart will be very, very interesting, and I can't wait until that will happen.
Wasserschwein effectively the safety car now, backing up the field to give the safety car time to go into the pits. Bernard pulling Max Verstappen moves here, running up right beside Wasserschwein, trying to push him to go a little bit faster. And it looks like they are not waiting on anything. Kuba, a 2-second gap there at one point as Wasserschwein and Bernard get ready to run away. Of course, Wasserschwein trying to catch Bernard off guard and go at the last possible moment when Bernard wouldn't expect it. Still not going there, still not going. Bernard is trying to get him to hurry up and get a little bit of a move on here. And as they get ready to go around the final corner, now Wasserschwein is going to floor it and get going here. And it looks like Wasserschwein did catch Bernard a little bit off guard and caught Kuba a little bit off guard too. Kappa wasn't expecting it. Nobody was expecting it as they get going now underway, and it looks like things are really, really strong as they come through. Bernard 0.3 of a second back here. Wasserschwein a great getaway. Kepa coming through 0.4 of a second. The gap's really, really small here as they're going through the first sector. Single file as you please, as no drivers want to have any sort of a collision or a challenge so far. Fishu a little bit wide through the first sector that we can see going a little bit wider through curves, but paying off for him so far as he's holding on to his gap. Kushor and Kuba inverting positions here, said that the Haas were going to be split by an AlphaTauri, and now it looks like Ferrari are split by a Haas as Kushor is able to get around Kubu there in the first sector, start of the middle sector. And now as we go down the back straight, everything is going according to plan, unless your name is Fishu, as Fishu is spun back in the back, and that is going to be unfortunate for him as we go through. Velix trying to have a run here on Kubu and not close enough for the run, but very, very close. Bernard Wasserschwein 0.1 of a second the gap here in the front. Great battle as they get ready to hook into the hard 180 right-hander. You can see Bernard has just a wing there against the rear wheels of Wasserschwein, and as they come through, it's anyone's guess how this goes. Bernard holding on to Wasserschwein as close as he can as they come around. Great lap one battle here.
Yeah, the fight between those two drivers by the whole race is just really impressive. And we can see that no one just want to back off, and they really want to fight for this first position. And now Bernard took advantage of the DRS and overtake Wasserschwein, and now he is current leader of this race.
No drivers are going to hold back here with just 5 laps to go. Nobody wants to be the person that gave up an opportunity.
Bernard with another 3 seconds time penalty, so it might be very important for the Wasserschwein information, because if he don't need to push right now, he just need to hold the 3 seconds gap behind the Bernard, and he will jump into the P1 until Radosław Kepa will fall off of those 3 seconds just behind the Kuba Kalvat. So until the end of the race, we couldn't say anything who will finish where.
Something I can tell you before the end of the race, the battle between Velix and Kubu is not done yet. Velix going very deep there into the out of the backstretch to hold Kubu off. Kubu now 0.3 back. They were side by side for a minute. So for another lap, Velix holding on there to P6 with Kubu settling into P7, but that's far from over here. Kepa 0.3 of a second back from his teammate Kuba. And this, of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car, so DRS going to be under effect here now, as Bernard sets a 1:34.6 for the fastest lap. So Bernard trying to stretch his legs, 1.5 seconds the gap now, with 4 laps to go as they come through. DRS on the backstretch, I think, is going to play a big part here this lap in order of trying to settle everything down and figure out who's going to finish where.
It's so nice to see that both of the Ferrari guys are doing a really good job today, and somehow from the P10 and P11 they jump into the 5th and 6th place, and now focusing on hold them, and those points are very important for both of the drivers and for the constructors as a Ferrari, and I hope they will drive it until the end. Maybe something happened on the track. Once again, we still have 4 laps to go.
4 laps to go, nothing's expected. What I can tell you right now is Kuba and Wasserschwein are now battling it out. So Wasserschwein sticking on those medium tires, possibly a bad decision as he's coming under some immense pressure as they go through. You're talking about Ferrari P8 in constructors. The highest finish they've had in Split 2 so far is 4th place. So this would be a great finish to see from them, as they've only finished 4th place once all season with 1 driver. So it'll be great to see if they can can move up here and get this P5-6 for the team. As we watch Kepa still putting pressure on Kuba. Bernard 2.7 seconds the gap as we go into lap 26, so trying to stretch his legs and secure his win, but P2, P3, nobody knows where this is at here as we watch Kuba chasing down Wasserschwein, who is being chased down by Kepa as they go into turn 1 here.
It might be really difficult for now because we can see that over from top 3 to Kushor, that is currently on the 5th place, we have DRS train, so it might be very interesting fight in the DRS zone, and anything could happen, as I'm always saying. 3 laps to go, and I'm still not sure who we're going to win this race. Fisher with the fastest lap of this race currently, Gamer with another 3-second time penalty. So, as I said before, that we have a really quiet race, it isn't anymore, right?
Not at all. You see Kuba trying to dive around the outside here of Vasser, not able to make the pass, locks his tire up a little bit. Kepa almost taking advantage of that as we watch on board here from Kepa as we come through the 3rd sector. Really, really tight battles here. A little bit of a DRS train developing, but I don't think it's going to stay like this for long. One little mistake could cost a driver multiple positions here in this battle from 2nd back to almost, you could say, 2nd through 8th is the battle right now as we watch here. 3rd sector, great runs coming around. Wasserschwein finally stretching his legs a little bit here, and Kuba with another lockup. Kepa not able to take advantage of it. DRS open though as they come down the main straight. Going up the hill, you could see Wasserschwein harvesting, going up the hill into turn 1. And Kuba is going to try to close the gap here. It's still anyone's game, but you need to overcome DRS and have a clean run through, or hope the person in front of you has a bad run.
This is amazing that from 2nd place to almost 7th place, where is currently Butek, we have such a small gap that almost everyone can overtake everyone. So I'm always loving the end of the race because it's most impressive part of the race, where literally can anything happen, and we can see that we have a beautiful DRS train, but is there some kind of overtakes? We will see Kuba Calvat will try to attack Wasserschwein once again, and somehow he managed to do that. Just right behind the Wasser is going Radosław Kepa, and we will see that Wasser would not to give up on his 2nd place. He's currently without the ERS. In front of him is Kuba Calvat that will try to defend this 2nd place, and it's going to be huge until the end.
Kuba finally getting past Wasserschwein after several laps of difficulty and frustration there, and now this is going to open the door for several drivers to have a run through. Of course, Wasserschwein is going to be trying to have another run, but the interesting battle that I noticed as we went through here, as we go in 2 laps to go, Kushort and Velix having a great run on Kepa here, and you can see Wasserschwein having a dive on the inside here on Kuba. Kuba not getting a great run there, and Wasserschwein getting back through. Kuba very, very close to the back of him though, so Kuba still going to continue to put pressure, and I think this position is going to swap at least a couple more times before we're done here, and it looks like somebody's dropping way back at the moment.
Yeah, because Velix just hit the yellow curb and he lost control of his car. Was contact there with the Radosław Kepa, and almost both of the drivers just fell off the track. That Butek took advantage of that situation and jumped over in front of those 2 drivers. Currently on the 5th place, Kushor just before, and the T1 also attack Radosław Kepa and overtake him. And now we can see that from lap to lap, everything is changing so much that we can't be sure anything.
Kuba having a bit of a peek on the outside, again locking his tire. Kuba can't seem to not lock his tire as he goes through, and it's costing him. These soft tires really starting to wear and be at the end of their life. Couple laps to go though, so he needs to find and dig in and get one good lap out of these soft tires to get himself up into P2. Wasserschwein holding on. Bernard has stretched out the gap to over 6 seconds, so Bernard locking in a really, really strong finish. No, he has penalties, but I don't believe he has 6 seconds worth of the penalty. So Bernard trying to settle himself in, but the battle for P2 far from over here. Wasserschwein has the gap over a second. Kuba with DRS though, and you can see Buchik and Kushor battling it out here as we go down the main straight as well. Buchik trying to have a dive around Kushor here, but Kushor defending well as they go through turn 1. So holding on here, just 3 sectors left as we go through, and Bernard sailing away at the end of the first sector, but nobody behind him feeling that same sail away energy. Everybody under pressure as we go through. Kuba going to have one final run down the backstretch unless he wants to make a gutsy pass in sector 3. But for Kuba, 6.5 tenths, 7 tenths the gap. Seems to have a really poor run out of sector 1, and this could be all she wrote for his opportunities as we go through. Wasserschwein putting the hammer down and trying to gain on Bernard some, and we see the gaps came down a couple tenths, so Wasserschwein possibly closing in. Kuba 7 tenths the gap he needs to make up here, and you can see behind him Buchik and Kushor. Kuba not close enough for a battle here, but Buchik sure is on Kushor as they come around. Final lap, final sector, and Kushor trying to close the door on Buchik as hard as he can. You can see wheel to wheel, side to side, and Kushor not holding on, still not securing that position, and Kushor finally getting in front of Buchik and holding on to it. Bernard coming around the final 2 corners, unchallenged so far this race, dominating pace, dominating qualifying, happened to get the strategy right, happened to have everything through, and Bernard's going to come across here and win at Circuit of the Americas here in USA. Wasserschwein comes around, able to hold on to his P2, Kuba P3. But let's start applying penalties here. Kuba down to P6, Kushor P2, Buchik P3, Vasser down to P4, Kepa and P5, Kubu up into 7th, Velix 8th, Gamer 9th, Biz 2000 10th, Vixie will come across P11. Final driver to cross the line who's just now coming through Sector 3 is going to be Fishu.
What Fishu a race.
Fishu, very unfortunate McLaren race. Real life imitating FRL or FRL imitating real life, I couldn't tell you, but Bernard with a dominating race, it seems.
Yeah, and as I said before, Ferrari on the podium with the Red Bull driver Kushor and Buchik. A really good job, and definitely Kushor deserves this driver of the day reward. And this is our split to Kota GP, and it was really amazing race.
Drivers not holding out, some very heartbreaking retirements, of course. Crowd favorite Spaghetti Mafia DNFing in one of the weirdest ways I think I've seen, but great battles all the way through, nobody holding back, and if this is a representation of what we should expect here into Split 1, I'm really excited for this next race. Just a few minutes away, of course, here for our Split 1 race, so everybody hang out. Congratulations, Bernard, Kushor, and Buchik, but coming at you here shortly is going to be Split 1, and that is going to be where some more chaos is coming your way.